Imagine you are on a cruise ship. You paid thousands of dollars to see the breathtaking, icy landscapes of the South Atlantic. But right now, you aren't looking at the glaciers. You are locked inside your cabin. Outside your door, the corridors are silent, except for the footsteps of crew members in protective suits. You hear a dry cough from the cabin next to you. Your own throat feels slightly scratchy. You look at your phone, but there is no signal. Just the cold realization that you are trapped inside these steel walls miles away from help. This actually happened in April 2026 aboard an expedition ship called the MV Hondius. As the ship sailed from South America, a rare rodent-borne virus, the Andes Hantavirus, spread among a small group of passengers. By the time the ship was quarantined in the Canary Islands, 3 people had tragically died. Instantly, the internet reacted. Headlines warned of a new global threat. Social media feeds filled with anxiety. In the United States, people began asking a familiar, stressful question. Is this the beginning of another pandemic? But if you look at the actual scientific data, the threat to the general public was, and still is, virtually zero. So why did a tiny, isolated outbreak on a single ship trigger a wave of anxiety across the United States? The answer has very little to do with biology and everything to do with psychology. While the physical virus was contained on that ship, a wave of shared anxiety spread globally within hours. The hard facts are simple. The Andes virus is usually not a threat to the public. You contract it by breathing in dust contaminated by infected wild rodents in remote areas. You cannot catch it by simply walking past someone on the street. The Andes strain is a rare exception because it can spread from human to human. But decades of research show this transmission is incredibly difficult. It requires prolonged, close physical contact, the kind you only find between family members or people sharing a tiny, unventilated cruise cabin for days. If you are walking around an American city, your chance of catching this virus is practically zero. You are statistically far more likely to be struck by lightning. Yet, public anxiety spiked. Why? It happens because of a mental shortcut called the availability heuristic. When our brains try to calculate risk, we don't look at spreadsheets. We search our memory bank for the most vivid, similar memory. And for the modern world, our collective memory of health anxiety is 2020. The moment we see a cruise ship under quarantine, masked passengers, and workers in hazmat suits, our brain hits the panic button. It bypasses the scientific data and triggers a fight-or-flight response based entirely on past trauma. We are not reacting to the biological reality of the virus. We are reacting to our memories. And this emotional trigger is instantly accelerated by social media algorithms. Think about it. It's 2 a.m. You are lying in bed, the cold glow of your phone illuminating the darkroom. You click on a headline. You watch a 10-second video of the ship under quarantine, and you scroll through the panicked comments of strangers. The algorithm registers this intense focus. It doesn't care if the content makes you feel safe or anxious. It only cares that your eyes are glued to the screen. So, to keep you there, it feeds you another video about the virus, and then another. Within hours, your digital world is saturated with urgent, ominous alerts. This creates a psychological feedback loop. Your brain's alarm system goes into overdrive, and you start treating a distant headline like an immediate, personal danger. This is where psychology meets geopolitics. In a highly polarized society, collective fear is a powerful political asset. When people are anxious, they look for certainty, and they look for someone to blame. During the MV Hondius crisis, various commentators and media outlets immediately framed the event to fit their existing political narratives. Some used it to argue that international travel and global borders are inherently unsafe. Others framed it as proof that public health institutions are hiding information. This is the real geopolitical impact of localized crises. They are rarely analyzed objectively. Instead, they are quickly weaponized in ongoing culture wars. When fear is consistently amplified, it erodes systemic trust. We stop trusting the experts, the media, and each other. We retreat into our political tribes, viewing every global event not as a factual occurrence, but as a political weapon used by the other side. A minor public health incident is transformed into another source of societal division. To regain our perspective, we have to compare this unfamiliar threat to the ones we accept every day. Every single year, the seasonal flu kills thousands of Americans. Car accidents take over 40,000 lives annually. Yet, we do not panic when we get behind the wheel. Why? Because those threats are familiar. We feel a sense of personal control over them. The Andes virus feels terrifying because it is unfamiliar and dramatic. It triggers our deepest, primal fear of helplessness. Our minds struggle to distinguish between a genuine threat in our neighborhood and a contained crisis on the other side of the world. The physical outbreak on the MV Hondius is over. The passengers have been evacuated and the physical danger is gone. But the psychological outbreak is still active, circulating through our digital networks. The real challenge of our time is not just developing medical defenses against physical pathogens. It is developing a psychological immunity to the digital systems that exploit our primal fears. It is learning to pause when we see an alarming headline and to ask, is this a real threat to my life? Or is this just an algorithm reflecting my own anxiety back at me? If this video changed the way you look at fear, media, and modern psychology, subscribe for more deep psychological and geopolitical documentaries. And before you scroll to the next alarming headline, pause for a second and ask yourself, are you reacting to reality or reacting to fear? Because the next global panic may not begin with a virus. It may begin with an algorithm.